Y is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
What was that horse thing you sent me?
I sent you the horse thing. I sent you the estate sale. I've been sending you all kinds of shit
This is
lately.
true, but I was thinking specifically of
The for when we're old, but we're not going to wait till we're old. Or are you talking about the little mini pony rescue? Are you
well,
talking about the old people like the rascals, but they're horses?
that's sort of what I was thinking, but then
Yeah, because that's amazing. Because we could race all around the place on those.
so horse mobility scooters. Did you dive deeper into this? Did you
I mean, not super deep because I was hoping you were going to send me one.
well, I mean,
Or we could get a sponsor that would just buy them for us.
yeah, okay, this is
They don't, they go faster, right? Because rascals go fast.
well,
So,
let's see here. If they must have a be able to give you the MPH on these things, combining function, elegance, and a bit of whimsy. A bit of whimsy?
I mean, right? I
Horse
mean,
inspired. Oh, they're electric scooters. So that
right.
is okay. That's great for the environment.
Yeah, they're like the rascal, but they're horses,
Oh, here's a couple. Oh, they're riding through the library on them.
which I mean, that's a
And
bit
and the woman's
disruptive.
reading too.
Right.
Here they are on the boardwalk. The nice thing, whatever this website is, there's
I mean,
a
there's a whole Facebook page.
as well there should be.
There's a whole bunch of stuff on the Facebook page.
So this is the new thing. And it's like it seems like
Look at the horse mugs they do as well.
I'm so distracted
Wait,
by
look at this. Wait, have you been to the Facebook page? I should just set you to the Facebook page. There's an eagle. There are eagle scooters and buffalo
ooh,
and bear and elephants,
wow.
dragons.
Hmm?
We could have a different scooter for every day.
Just depending on how we felt, like the song says.
Turtles, cows,
See more product here on Amazon.
unicorns.
Oh my God, you would.
Wait, did you see the bed? Look at this bed.
I am not. Ooh, but that's not horse themed.
No, I know, but there's a whole, they do a whole bunch of stuff.
Mm.
There's look at this Harley that's a grill, and there's a Harley espresso maker.
Ooh, there you go. Oh, here we go. Features and design elements. Realistic or stylized horse shapes. The body of the scooter is molded or designed, or anyway, to resemble a horse, complete with features like mane, comma, tail, and even saddled inspired seating. I feel like that's going to be the thing that really gets you.
Yes.
And,
Wait,
and in
look
these
at
pictures, no
this.
one is riding side saddle.
No, look
That's
at
amazing.
the cat
Yeah.
condo. I mean that, but I would maybe ride side saddle if I had the right outfit on.
Right. But I'm saying for the folks who are using this to get around, who perhaps might be lacking in some mobility, uh, asking them to mount a horse, whether or not it is real and has a mane and or tail, it's a level of right.
Yes, but okay, you need to keep looking at these
No,
designs.
I okay. So, electric or battery powered motor, smooth, energy efficient rides, varying speed options. They won't give you the max MPH. Adjustable
Hi.
seating and controls, LED headlights, perfect. All terrain capabilities, grass, gravel, and uneven terrain.
Wait, so we can ride them over the moors of England?
We could. And oh, there's variations on it. So, A, the classic equestrian, featuring detailed craftsmanship and lifelike horse figures, perfect for horse lovers and equestrian themed events.
Yes. Can we do
B,
a steeplechase?
yes, B, carousel horse scooters,
Oh,
modeled after vintage carousel rides with bright colors and ideal for those who appreciate a nostalgic, whimsical design. This is great. So if you're sitting with a parent or a grandparent who maybe is finding that mobility is an issue, but they still want to go out and live life to the fullest, and they're like, I prefer a modern, elegant look with sort of a futuristic aesthetic. And you can be like, Graham, let me tell you about the modern minimalist horse scooters.
yes.
And then the custom fantasy, or they can customize it. So we could be riding a thing that looks like Flash.
We could get Basset House scooters.
I think we could. Options include unicorn-themed medieval warhorse. I would steer clear of someone riding a medieval warhorse through the deli section.
Well, I don't go to the deli section, but you can not wear ride
Through
one.
the vegetable section.
Okay.
Like, are you gonna really? That guy's getting the kohlrabi. Let's just be honest. Like,
I
it's
mean, I
yours,
don't go to the
sir.
grocery store, but yes.
Oh, I thought this was a sidecar. No, it's not. And
I mean,
it almost looks like this woman's hair's blowing in the breeze.
well, right. I mean, there's can we,
Wait, sorry.
this is the
Hold
most
up.
amazing. There are
I
so many
gotta.
things I want to look at right now. I want this scooter so bad, but there are so many products on this Facebook page I want to keep talking about. I
Well,
just want to keep,
but wait a second here.
I
This,
can't slow down. There's so many things I want to talk about.
but here's my concern. It looks like this might be AI because
Well, of
the
course it is,
the
but
picture I'm looking at, it looks like this woman's side cart basket is filled with either Crocs of the exact same color as the horse, I'm sorry, of her husband's horse, um, or it's a miniature version of her miniature horse that she is riding in the moment.
well, of course.
Whether you're riding through a park, shopping mall, or event, oh my God. For streaking Lollapalooza, get on your horse scooter.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yes.
Some models offer additional horsepower, parentheses, figuratively and literally, with faster speeds and altering capabilities. And here we go, the most important one. Oh, wait a second. Do they literally go from A, B, and then to numbers? So number 6, emotional and psychological benefits. A major
Okay.
advantage of horse mobility scooters is the emotional well-being they promote. Traditional mobility scooters may sometimes make users feel self-conscious, but a
Hmm.
beautiful but riding a thoroughbred through the cereal aisle is going to make you feel just great with.
Yes, I think so.
But a beautifully designed horse-shaped scooter boosts confidence, sparks conversations, you don't say, and brings
It
joy. This is
does.
true. It would bring joy.
It already has brought us joy.
This is Why, with your hosts, Heidi Hedquist and Luke Poling.
How does Aqualillies come to be? Because I was thinking it's probably starts with the million dollar mermaid. Or am I wrong?
I mean, so many good aquatic things start with $1 Million Mermaid.
I know, right?
Um, in this case, so I'm Misha, and my background is creating theatrical dance experiences for events, which I did in New York City for a number of years before I moved to Los Angeles. And here, the pool was central to so many events, and it was lit and blue and alluring. And so, so that the idea came from activating, essentially creating installation theater at these events. And then, and I'm a choreographer and a dancer and a director. And so, I was somewhat familiar with Esther Williams and Busby Berkeley in those movies just because I love spectacle and grand design. But I got more involved in that world as I began to develop this kernel of an idea into a business. So actually, I hired synchronized swimmers and dancers early on, and we had a 17-show residency at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel that was very star-studded.
I mean, that part of
Lindsay
town.
Lohan, Paris Hilton, Benicio del Toro, Leonardo DiCaprio, a lot of who's who in Hollywood was there. And that really launched the business because then we did, Justin Timberlake's 30th birthday party a couple of years after the company got started. And it was a word of mouth thing. We were doing a lot of events. And then that led to more film and TV stuff and music videos. And actually Mary, who's now my partner, was one of the performers early on and also a law student. And then as the
Sure,
business
of course.
grew, and she's a, a synchronized swimmer, and can tell you more about her background. And then now it's the two of us doing our thing.
Mary, coming to this world from the synchronized swimming side of things, is it easier to go from a synchronized swimmer to a dancer, or is it easier for a dancer to become a synchronized swimmer? Or are these two things inexorably intertwined that we will never find the end of that particular rope?
You know, they share characteristics, but they are very different skill sets. And I'll say the biggest difference is that with synchronized swimming, you are sort of learning to stand and support yourself without touching the bottom of the pool, in addition to learning how to move your body and learning about the choreography. So, I don't want to be the one to say that one is harder than the other, but they're
But
both
you can.
challenging and they're both challenging in their own ways. And I will say that, the ability to physically support yourself in the pool and learn kind of a new physics of moving your body in the water is something that's really challenging for most people.
Is there a language barrier? This wasn't my question. He kind of stole half of my question, but is there a language barrier? So as far as like the terminology as a choreographer, when you're moving it into water choreography, so to speak,
Mm-hmm.
do things get lost in translation, or is it?
That's actually one of the reasons having a choreographer fluent in this language is so important, because our performers are elite artistic swimming athletes. And by the way, you'll notice that we use the terms artistic swimming and synchronized swimming a little bit interchangeably. The sport is now officially called synchronized swimming in the Olympics. It changed. Artistic swimming, I'm sorry.
See, there you go. You're doing
Say
it.
that again. Yeah. The sport is now officially called artistic swimming in the Olympics. That changed back in 2017, but the word synchronized swimming is still colloquially used a lot. So you'll hear me use that interchangeably.
I have a slightly different answer to the which one is harder question, maybe because
you're coming
dance world.
Yes.
Right.
I think that the easier artistic swimming skills, the simpler ones, like the back tuck and a pinwheel, are possible for dancers. So dancers can kind of, like fake it or kind of get in on an entry level, but the challenging hybrids are like impossible for dancers. But I think that swimmers, defend yourself, Mary, if you think I'm wrong here, but I think for swimmers, dancing can be really, really hard. Like they're fish. It's like, sometimes it's like a fish out of water thing. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So, I mean, but make no mistake, our performers are former competitive athletes, and that takes years of training, so to do something simple on land is going to be more possible than to do something that has taken our artistic swimmers years to master. But I do think that Esther Williams said that she thought it was easier for dancers to swim than swimmers to dance. You can fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure that she said. Now, the artistic swimming was not as advanced
Certainly
then as it is now. So it is a little bit of a different ballgame.
Is it using the same muscles?
Synchronized swimming is really a very full body activity. So is dance, I would say, but the difference is you're inverting. Maybe you have moments of inversion in some types of dance, but in synchronized swimming, you're consistently going upside down with your legs in the air. And the rope movement of how you're supporting yourself with your arms, I think that is a different muscle group that really gets developed more in the water.
And dancers don't get those prune hands that often.
True, that's true.
Yeah.
Not as often. That does take
Not
a few
as-
years in the pool.
Yeah.
Or the goggle marks.
The goggle marks for sure. But they also are often, they're not as good at tans if you're doing it outside, right?
Mhm.
But that only applies to me because I'm the only person who still goes in the sun in this world. But but don't you feel like it's ultimately, like, just to be fair and not to be the ones who like destroyed this amazing business that's bringing joy and beauty and amazing art to this world and hearkening back to like the golden age of Hollywood while moving artistic swimming and gorgeous art forms and incredible athleticism forward. I think it's both. So if I go back to the days when I wanted to be a prima ballerina and a synchronized swimmer at the age of,
That was like last week.
it was,
Yeah.
and also a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader. So all
2
three.
weeks ago. Yeah.
2 weeks ago. When I was little, and also 2 weeks ago, I never mastered being able to do a handstand as a child on land, but I did an amazing handstand in the pool, right? I also could definitely, keep some rhythm on the dance floor, but could not keep rhythm in the pool. So I feel like there's different things that you can do better in water on land, kind of to what you're each saying, but differently. Some things are easier in the water, harder on land. Some things are easier on land, harder in the water. So if you can master both simultaneously, you are just amazing.
And I think it's important to give yourself a break too and kind of free from expectations. We actually, in addition to our professional water show performance team, teach public fitness classes. So we have a lot of experience with people who have never done synchronized swimming ever before getting in to try it. And people tend to be very surprised at the end of class when they see the video of how it all came together at how great it looks, because sometimes you feel like you're flailing a little bit because it's new, but you're actually part of a larger piece. So, you might be better at it than you think.
Yeah, that's
because
probably something that both of those worlds, dancing with others, swimming with others. There's something, and that's part of the appeal, I think, too, of what we do is it's really an ensemble experience, and the blend of the kind of earth, land and sea, and the ensemble and the fluidity of water and the kind of inherent femininity in that, combined with the ensemble experience, it's undeniably powerful. Whether it's in person or on screen, there's something really magical about it.
That's awesome.
Well, and so much of it seems to be it has very much that team mentality where everyone has to work together, everyone has to pull together, and there is that sort of supporting each other in learning these things. How long does it take to teach a group of swimmers? And obviously, the answer is if you're teaching Heidi and I and your current crop of Aqualillies 2 different times. But for the swimmers that you work with, how long does it take to kind of teach them a routine and then have them execute that where you feel like, okay, we can take this out and add this to the show?
Well, we are working with the top artistic swimming professionals in the field. We have current and former members of many of the Olympic teams all over the world, national team members. So we're starting with a high bar of people who both have a shared vocabulary for the kind of movements we're going to do, and also have the skill to pick things up and execute it quickly and very well. So because of that, we're able to operate at a much faster pace than, say, you would if you're competing to go to a competition. We spend in competitive synchronized swimming, 6 months as a group of 8 preparing for, the competition season later in the year. On Aqualillies, we sometimes have projects that need 3 people. We sometimes have projects that need 40 people. The stunts vary between the different on camera and live show performances we do. And the length of the performances vary as well. We're doing everything from short 3-minute things to, putting together evenings of show experiences. But I would say that it typically takes, 2 to 3 rehearsals to prepare one of our average projects, at least. And that is assuming, again, that we're working with a really great group that can execute things quickly.
When we worked with the Coen brothers on their film, Hail Caesar, we had the liberty of really really rehearsing and workshopping. I think we had 5 or 6 workshops, just exploratory sessions, which is a real privilege,
Yeah,
especially with
it
music
seems
videos, for example. It's kind of like, we
Tuesday
don't have
afternoon and you're
time.
done.
We don't
Yeah.
have budget. Can you make a miracle happen? Okay. So it really ranges. And then for our live event clients, we have a repertoire that we offer, but also some people will say, oh, it's my husband's 50th and this is his favorite song, or this is our wedding song this is our anniversary, or whatever it is, and so we'll put together, custom things for people too. So basically we didn't answer your question. It's a range.
But that's because our projects vary so much, which is
Yeah.
really exciting. It's nice to be doing something a little bit different all the time.
Yeah.
That's super fun.
How,
I
I
wish
mean, it would,
teach us. I wish we need a budget so that we can hire them to teach us.
that's what we need. Yeah, that's what we're doing wrong this whole time.
That's
Um, so you've been around for a while now that you've established this brand and this sort of dedication to excellence that people know what they're getting when they bring in Aqualillies to do something for them. Do you now have swimmers and dancers coming to you, or are you still out actively recruiting folks to bring them into this world?
It's a mix of both, mostly because of the demand, which is great. We have a lot of artistic swimmers come to us interested because there are very few career opportunities in this field. And I can tell you as a former athlete, it's really exciting to have opportunities to continue to integrate this into your life. But we also are constantly recruiting because we have clients in LA, New York, Miami, Las Vegas, et cetera, all over the country who are always looking for performances. We sometimes do multiple performances, even on a single day. So there's sort of, we're always recruiting.
And recruiting internationally. We have clients internationally as well. So we can provide artistic swimming entertainment really anywhere in the world now.
It's fat. You wouldn't think that this was a thing, but when you think about like what would make an amazing party or element addition to something, like it would be artistic swimming. This would be great.
It's
Uh,
funny because we've been doing this for, I don't know, 15 years or so now. And in the very beginning, I felt the marketing language was a little bit more like, it's a renaissance of synchronized swimming as entertainment. And people were like, oh yeah, synchronized swimming was entertainment. And now that language is totally not necessary. It is just part of what we expect and actually my experience at the events in the beginning was people were like, oh my God, like they couldn't believe they were seeing this thing that was just like a twinkle of a possibility. Now it's like, oh, cool, look what's here. Like maybe they've seen it on social or they've heard somewhere. It's kind of a thing you might expect. The thing that you probably wouldn't expect that is a new frontier for us is our male performers. We have a male company called the Aqualillies. And when they come out, people flip out.
Yeah,
They flip.
as
Well,
they
that's
would.
well, I noticed on your website you have the diversity and inclusion in artistic swimming, and this is something that clearly that you've been working for. Can you talk a little bit about that? Is that a newer addition, or is that something from the beginning you've said we want to have a wider swath of performers to work with?
Well, I think synchronized swimming is an interesting activity that it has roots in a vintage feel, but one of the core aspects of our company was wanting to really modernize that art form. And that took place, I think we were thinking of that in a lot of ways, both in terms of the choreography and the movements, kind of integrating it to a more athletic Olympic level to reflect what the sport had come into, but also in terms of the cast members, and diversity within the cast there to reflect, 2025, or even when the company started in 2008, was a really important element because in comparison, when you look at those old films, there really is no diversity on screen.
Yep.
The on-screen presence is where that, story lives. So that's been important to us from the beginning. Synchronized swimming is historically not the most diverse field in the United States. So, and swimming and access to aquatic sports in general. So
Self-selecting.
yeah, so it's something that we take the influence we have within this small world and try to seek out those people as much as possible. And then we also really support the movement that's happening at the grassroots level to bring more diverse swimmers up, because that's really where it starts, especially with the elite kind of people that we're working with those really high skill sets.
Yeah, but the imagery that you put out changes the cultural narrative. So it is really important to us because we're image makers, especially the work we do on screen.
Yeah. And
sometimes, we really have to encourage production sometimes to spend the extra money to bring out that candidate from another city. Representation really matters there, and it sometimes is not always easy. We oversaw the casting and the water scene in Beyonce's Black is King. And one of the most amazing things about her was that, and that whole project was that she was really committed to featuring Black athletes to the point where she flew people out from different areas of the country, and flew a number of performers out from Jamaica and other areas. So seeing that kind of commitment, and what it resulted in on screen and what that meant for representation in the sport, I think shows how necessary that is. And that was really admirable.
And a really cool experience.
oh, I was gonna say, I can't remember the video. Did you get Queen Bee into the pool?
We did. Oh my gosh. If you haven't seen this, it's worth a watch. She steps in as an Esther Williams. She's front and center. She also does the iconic scene where she swims underwater through a ring of our performers connected in a circle. So she was very aware of her references, very clear on her vision. And it was amazing to be a small part of that.
How was she to teach?
She was game.
I mean, clearly an insanely skilled dancer, so she's got a leg up in that regard.
You know what? She was wearing a pretty large headpiece, which swim underwater in a large headpiece through a tight circle made of people is not an easy feat, but it took her a couple of takes to figure out kind of the depth and honestly how to not knock her headpiece off through this hole of people. But she really delivered, and clearly her level of comfort with being a performer is just so high and translated to the pool as well.
Just the experiences you've had and what you're saying about just being able to have that kind of influence, as you're saying, to kind of make that, what, as you say, is that seems to, you'd think at first blush is that small little influence of really trying to encourage that diversity, trying to encourage people to, pay that just that little bit more to pay for that plane ticket, bring those people in to make that diversity happen. It has such a huge impact. And it's not a small little bit, it's a huge bit. And that's gotta just that's, you guys, I don't know. I want to be you guys when I grow up now. Instead of a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader.
Well, and it's interesting.
The dream's changing.
I know, finally.
Well, how often do you pull from some of your classes that you're teaching and maybe have someone continue training and eventually join basically what I'm saying is, do we have a chance to become an Aqualillie / Aquawillie? And why are you laughing?
I typically tell people that the classes are not really an avenue toward performing with us, only because, again, our classes are really meant to get in the pool, have fun, try it for the first time. When we're casting, we're really casting the best of the best so that we can execute those projects in a, really just don't use that part.
Like,
Little do
I
they
love-
know that we also are filmmakers, so we
Yeah,
can cast
stomp on my
ourselves in
dreams.
our
Yeah,
own.
there we go.
So
That's
see,
it.
it's okay. We can perform
Okay.
on our own project.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Like mimic
At our own
levels.
party.
And that's part of the fun thing actually about the fitness classes is that, you know, like I said, it's an ensemble experience, just inherently, you know, synchronized, right? But also the performance that happens at the end of like a lot of the fitness classes are structured so that there's, you know, that over the course of a couple classes, you're building up to a performance and, you know, you might film it or invite friends or whatever. That's just one of the ways we structure the fitness classes. It's really fun. So you can feel like, you know, you're Luke, you can feel like you're
Thank
part of
you.
the team.
Thank you. That's what I want. Well, and it's interesting, you know, Misha, you mentioned Hail Caesar, which is clearly evoking a certain era of, I mean, very clearly an era of filmmaking. Um, and then Mary talking about Beyonce. I mean, y- yes, she is evoking this era, but clearly there's something new and different going on. Has synchronized swimming always been that sort of, I don't want to say forward, but continuing to grow, or has it been stuck in a Esther Williams, and no shade to her, but like has it always been sort of a we're going to do this thing, the Busby Berkeley, all that, or has it really been just constantly growing and maturing as the years go by?
I think do you want to take this, Misha? Or?
I think we both do. You go and then I'll go.
Yeah. So I'm coming from within the sport as an athlete. I think internally within the sport, there has been an interesting transition over the years from the generation of Esther Williams to where we are now. I think that there was a moment where within the sport, we wanted people we wanted to make sure that the public understood that this was really challenging and that this is something that should be respected as an athletic art form, and as a sport. And so I think there was a little bit of a rejection internally of kind of anything that felt vintage, anything recalling that era, because we really wanted to focus on the Olympics and how hard it was. I think with the growth of this reemergence of artistic swimming as entertainment, we're now in a nice kind of middle place where internally within the sport, you know, I think it's obvious with the Olympics and the new waterline camera they have that shows the above and below and the hugely acrobatic stunts that the athletes do, how challenging it is. I don't think we're trying to fight so much for that respect anymore. We know that we have that. And so people are a little bit more open to, you know, hearkening back to that era. And you see it even a little bit in the routines too, you know, moments of floats where it's meant to be seen from above more than from the side, the way most athletic synchronized swimming routines are. So yeah, as an insider, it's been an interesting journey to see.
Yeah, and also that I think that if I'm looking at it from the kind of the media perspective, and I think that's both. I think you know, Hail Caesar, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which we choreographed an episode of, even Glee, that episode also felt like it was kind of like a, you know, referencing the bygone glamorous old Hollywood glamour era. But you know, Lizzo's About Damn Time or Justin Bieber and Nicki Minaj, we did Beauty and a Beat for them. And some of the other music videos for Usher, Missy Elliott, Rita Ora, New Kids on the Block. I don't know, there's a bunch. But those are modern. I mean, they feel contemporary. So I argue that it's a artistic medium, like, you know, there's different forms of music, there's different forms of movement.
Yeah.
And that's timeless, you know, but there's fads, right? So of course, Aqualillies is here to say that this is here to stay.
Like it.
And then there's the kind of political, cultural stuff that Mary's talking about, which is also reflected in the times. And I personally enjoy looking at it from a kind of a social, political perspective, because if you look at the history, and Vicki Volosik has an amazing book called Swimming Pretty, if you want to dig it further into this. But if you look at the history of women in the water, it's really a parallel reflection of women and their accessibility and acceptance, and on a lot of realms that men were, that were accessible to men that weren't accessible to women. So interesting that in our lifetimes, and even in the span of our career here, Mary, that you're talking about these athletes wanting to be taken seriously. We're not just wearing swimsuits and flipping our hair and our wrists and in time with music. Like this is a hardcore athletic skill that takes a lifetime to nail. And I don't think it's a reach to say that is happening in time with women saying, we belong on the Olympic level, and to take it even further, to say, well, men can do this thing that's been historically in the female realm, is just blowing those gender expectations out of the water on another level, and part of my work as an entrepreneur and a director and choreographer is, I'm just looking for beauty. I'm looking for, like connection and beauty. And I think that a lot of that social political stuff, is evolving in a way that the art is reflecting. The art represents the times, influence the art. So, yeah, so that's how water ballet is deep, man.
Well, and are the Aqualillies and Aquawillies there's two separate groups, certainly. Do you intertwine the two? Or are they always intermixed and extramingled, or are they always kind of keep them separated?
Oh no, we like to mingle.
Yeah. I mean, both, we have different clients and different kind of projects that want to make a statement. We did the Demi Lovato, Sam Smith music video, I'm Ready, a few years back, where they wanted an all-male cast in heels and bustiers diving off the side of a pool, and then also doing some pretty dramatic
They were wearing corsets
into the air.
That old trope, sure.
Yeah.
Men in corsets. I love that.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, and that was the statement they wanted to make, and they needed an all-male cast for that statement. We also do a lot of weddings in the Palm Springs area that will request an all-male cast.
Or bachelorette parties.
Yeah, bachelorette parties. But our mixed cast is also a really different experience. A lot of corporate clients in particular are really interested in making a statement that incorporates both genders. And I think it's just something so unexpected to see, that whether or not you do it as just the men or a combo with the men and women, it still really mixes it up.
I love the mixed show. It's really powerful because the splash is so big on every level. Yeah, it's a lot of acrobatic movement, and it's just really cool. It's a really cool show.
And you've mentioned some pretty big names of folks you've worked with. Obviously, Beyonce to start with, and Ariana Grande, Justin Bieber, a ton of folks. You also have performed for Esther Williams. How intimidating was that? Because I feel like I would be quaking in my boots knowing that she was watching this thing that she is so closely identified with.
Well,
Made it far less intimidating than it was anticipated to be. Don't you think just by showing up at the rehearsal before the performance, she didn't want to miss anything. So she came out and sat and watched the rehearsals. So it wasn't like you weren't trying to be perfect for her arrival. It was more like, she's one of us, we know what it's like, we share something with her. So
Mhm.
yeah, that was my experience, but I
I
was
had a
also not in the
different
water.
experience. I was in the pool.
Yeah.
So she came poolside, there was a collective. And the part of the routine we were practicing, we were making 2 lines going down the pool, and there was a duet that was going to be in the center. And the duet really had all the star moves for that part, right? But when she came and sat with us, I think our duet was in the restroom or just doing something. They weren't in the pool with us. So the music's playing and we're just going down the pool, not kind of doing anything. And I was just dying thinking, oh my gosh, does she know that something else is going to happen? She's missing a whole part of this. I hope she still likes it. I don't think she was actually being that critical, but you want to be perfect for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then too, with all these folks, is there a phone call you get now that would have you be holding the phone away from you going, oh my God, it's
Wait, before I move on, can I just say one more thing about Esther?
please, the floor is yours.
So we actually swam at her memorial service.
Wow.
Her husband, Edward Bell, invited us to swim in her honor at that special occasion. And he introduced us and said that she referred to us as my girls.
Wow.
So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you choreograph something special for that? Or did you just do what you had performed for her, or are you doing something that is an homage to her insane
It
body
was
of work?
accompanied with a slideshow that was like her
Man,
film. So we were in the water in the pool, and then there was the slideshow of her in the water, and it was really cool.
are you crying while you're trying to stay afloat and do all this stuff in the pool at the same time? Does that moment get to you where you're like, I can't believe we are here? So you were in her pool too, correct? Or was this someplace else?
I think we were at the home of another old Hollywood home, I think. Was it Sonia Henni's home? I think it might have.
Oh, no. I don't remember the name of the actress. Yeah. It
Not
was
her
a good
pool.
friend of hers.
But certainly someone of that era and that,
Yes. I
that's
can maybe
amazing.
find that and send it to you after but yeah.
There is a photo of me from that event sitting on the pool's edge, watching the projections, getting emotional. Thankfully, I think we'd done most of our routine before that. There was an interlude while we watched this, and then maybe like a small ending because it was very emotional to watch.
That's amazing. So, Misha, you said that not only is, this type of performance here and people get excited for it now and recognize what it is and recognize, I think, some of the work that it takes to go into it, but this is a continuing thing. This is do you see it as a growing field?
Yeah. I mean, I see the potential for it to be as popular as it was during her era.
Mm.
I see it on TV. I see it in film. I see it. Yeah. Because I believe that the water lends itself to such imaginative storytelling. I think that there's so many ways to talk about the human experience using movement in the water. But you're talking to a choreographer and a director who thinks in pictures. So that, of course, is my answer.
Mm. So last question for me. Salt water or chlorine when it comes to pool systems?
Internally, we like salt water because
Okay.
you're a little tiny bit more buoyant in the salt water. It's
Oh,
just
good
a
point.
tiny bit easier.
Interesting.
It's better for your skin.
For more information or to book the Aqualillies for your next big event, check out their website, aqualillies.com, or you can find them on Facebook, facebook.com/aqualilliesofficial.
Why the Podcast is produced by the Professional Production Company. Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts because we're shallow and need constant validation. For more information, you can check out our website, whythepodcast.com. And like everyone else, we're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Today's show was recorded and produced by Heidi Hedquist and myself from our world headquarters located on the second floor of the professional office building, centrally located downtown. Our reluctant executive producers are John Sauvé and Sandy Stone. Our willing producers are Rachel Allen and Randy Jeanette. Our intern is Zach Jackson. This one's for Philippe. Thanks for joining us. Flash, we're coming home.
Nigel, is that you? Are you here, Nigel?